and welcome to the very first episode of Trackside Conversations. I'm your host Alan Devlin, and firstly I'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen. Trackside Conversations was created to shine a light on the people, projects and innovations shaping our railway. Throughout this series I'll be speaking to leaders, engineers, operators, project professionals and industry experts from across the rail sector to explore their journeys, lessons learned and the opportunities shaping the future of our industry. Before we begin, I'd like to make it clear that Trackside Conversations is a personal project created in my own time. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are my own and do not represent those of any current or previous employer. Before we begin those conversations, I thought it was only right that in the first episode I share a little about my own story, how I got into rail, what I've learned over the past 25 years, and why I've decided to start this podcast. So wherever you're listening from, whether you're driving to work, travelling on a train, sitting in a depot, office or site cabin, welcome to Trackside Conversations. Where it all started. When I joined the railway, I had no idea where the journey would eventually take me. Like many people in our industry, I began my railway career as an apprentice. I joined Plaza Machinery as an On-Track Machine Maintainer Apprentice and spent my early years learning the fundamentals of the railway, developing technical skills, gaining practical experience and building the foundations that would shape the rest of my career. At that stage, I wasn't thinking about business change, digital transformation, or major programs. I was focused on learning my trade, learning how maintenance was carried out, learning the importance of safety, and most importantly, learning from experienced people who had spent decades working in the railway. One thing that has never changed throughout my career is the value of experience. The railway is built on knowledge transfer. Every generation learns from the one before it. I was very fortunate to work alongside people who were prepared to share that knowledge and challenge me to improve every day. Those early years taught me discipline. They taught me accountability. And they taught me that success in this industry is earned through consistency and hard work. Chapter 2, Learning the Operational Railway. After completing my apprenticeship, I moved into operational roles within the OTM sector. For those unfamiliar with the term OTM, it stands for On-Track Machines. These are the machines responsible for maintaining and improving railway infrastructure. They're critical to keeping the network safe, reliable and operational. Over the years, I worked as an OTM operator and maintainer, supporting major infrastructure projects across the UK rail network. These roles provided an incredible education. You learn very quickly that the railway is one giant system. Nothing operates in isolation. Engineering depends on operations. Operations depend on planning. Planning depends on people communicating effectively. If one part of that chain breaks down, everybody feels the impact. Working in an operational environment also teaches resilience. The railway doesn't stop because the weather is poor. It doesn't stop because the shift is difficult. And it certainly doesn't stop because things don't go to plan. You learn to adapt. You learn to solve problems. And you learn to keep moving forward. These are the key lessons that have stayed with me throughout my career. Chapter 3, the moment my career changed. One of the biggest turning points in my career came when I took on additional duties into fault analysis and reliability. I held fault analysis roles within the rail industry. This role changed how I viewed performance and improvement. Instead of reacting to failures, we started asking deeper questions. Why are failures happening? What trends are emerging? What can we predict before a machine actually fails? How do we move from reactive maintenance to proactive decision making? Through predictive maintenance, root cause analysis, and collaborative problem solving, we delivered significant improvements in reliability and operational performance while reducing costs. Now, the interesting thing is that those improvements weren't actually achieved because someone suddenly became smarter. They were achieved because teams collaborated, data was shared, people challenged assumptions, and everyone focused on solving problems rather than assigning blame. One of the biggest lessons I've learned throughout my career is this: data doesn't create improvement, people do. Data simply helps us identify where improvements is needed. Chapter 4, Leading People. As my career progressed, I moved into leadership roles, including OTM operations supervisor and later business change lead. At that point, my biggest challenge was no longer machines, it was people, and I mean that in the best possible way. Leading people requires a completely different skill set. You can create the best process in the world, you can design the perfect strategy, but unless people understand it, support it, and believe in it, nothing changes. I learned that successful leadership isn't about having all the answers. It's about creating an environment where people can perform at their best. It's about listening. It's about building trust. It's about creating clarity when situations become complicated. One of the achievements I'm particularly proud of was helping deliver significant efficiencies and improvements through collaboration and better ways of working. But the thing I'm most proud of isn't the results themselves, it's the people I've worked with along the way. Because every success I've ever had has been the result of a team effort. Chapter 5, The Digital Railway. Today, I'm privileged to work in programmes, delivery and business change within the railway industry, supporting the introduction of new technologies and ways of working. We're currently living through one of the most significant periods of change our industry has seen. Technology is transforming how we operate, how information is shared, and how we improve safety, performance, and reliability across the network. What's exciting isn't just the technology, it's the opportunity. The opportunity to modernise, the opportunity to improve, the opportunity to leave the railway in a better place for future generations. Technology alone doesn't deliver transformation, people do. And that's why conversations matter. That's why training and collaborations matter. That's why leadership matters. Chapter 6, Why I Started This Podcast. Over the last 25 years, I've been fortunate to meet some incredible people. Managing directors, program directors, engineers, operators, apprentices, maintainers, drivers, project managers, a whole bundle of people from different backgrounds and different roles. People who have delivered extraordinary things in their careers. People who have overcome enormous challenges. People who have dedicated their careers to improving the railway. And yet, many of their stories are never heard. They stay within meeting rooms, site offices, depots, etc. I believe that those stories deserve a wider audience, not because they're interesting, which they absolutely are, but because there's something to learn from every single one of them. Every career contains lessons. Every project contains lessons. Every challenge contains lessons. Trackside Conversations exists to capture those lessons and share them with the wider railway community. One of my personal goals for this podcast is to showcase the railway industry, and particularly the on-track machine sector, as a rewarding and exciting career path for future generations. The railway offers opportunities in engineering, operations, maintenance, project delivery, technology, leadership, and countless other disciplines. If these conversations help even one person discover a career they haven't previously considered, then this podcast will have achieved something worthwhile. So that's a little about me and why this podcast exists. If you've enjoyed today's episode, I'd be incredibly grateful if you could follow the podcast on Spotify, connect with us on LinkedIn, follow us on Instagram, and share the podcast with colleagues across the industry. Over the coming weeks, I'll be joined by some fantastic guests from across the railway sector, discussing leadership, innovation, career development, and the future of our industry. I genuinely believe the railway is one of the most fascinating industries in the world, and I can't wait to bring those conversations to you. Thank you for listening to episode 1 of Trackside Conversations. I'm Alan Devlin. Stay safe, and I'll see you trackside.